How you guys doing today? Um, so Marvel just released the title for Spider-Man 3. It is called Spider-Man No Way Home. Um, Such a great name. So we had Spider-Man Homecoming, Spider-Man Far From Home, and now we have Spider-Man No Way Home. It was just a perfect title. How did nobody think of that? I mean, even I got it wrong, and I'm like known for predicting titles correctly. Not really, but I predicted Endgame correctly. Anyways, so holy crap. So I like what if this like doesn't allude to Peter? What if this is about Peter, but what if this is about like Toby's Peter and Andrew's Peter? They're like stuck in his dimension and they have no way home. Um but and like what kind of backs me up on that is on top, like when you see like all the concept titles that they have like around the actual title. One of them is Spider-Man Home Worlds with an S, multiple worlds. They wouldn't just throw that on there if it just didn't mean anything. If it didn't make sense, they wouldn't do it, right? It's got to be okay. So that basically just confirms what we already knew. Um, I'm excited. I've been waiting 19 years for this. I never thought it was gonna happen, but here it is. Jesus Christ, I'm excited. There's, I just wanted to talk about that really quickly. That wasn't. I was like gonna make a WandaVision video, and I saw that and I had to make a video on this. By the way, Marvel is marketing this perfectly. Like I said in yesterday's video, they gave us those little snippets on Instagram, and until the trailer is released, probably in 2 weeks after WandaVision, they're just gonna keep giving us these tiny little teasers and stuff. And after WandaVision, we're gonna get the big reveal, the actual trailer. So yeah, that's what I think is going on. Marvel, they're absolute geniuses if that's how they market it. I'm excited. Before I shit myself, let me talk about WandaVision. So I wanted to make this video because I just had like kind of a last minute theory before the last 2 episodes come out. While I was at work this morning, I was just kind of like singing the Agatha song in my head. It was Agatha all along. And the one line of that song that kind of stuck with me was, "And I killed Sparky too." Which, it's a funny line at the end of the song. Everybody got a good laugh out of that. But what if it was more than that? Okay, so hear me out. Agatha is not a villain. Okay? Just wrap your heads around that. I think Agatha is from the X-Men universe. And obviously we are in our universe. I think Agatha lost someone that she loved. And when Wanda brought back Vision and created this dimension, I think she pulled Westview out of the X-Men dimension, brought it into ours, and that created a gateway between the two. And I think once Agatha figured out, because she's a witch, she can figure that out. Once she figured out what Wanda did and what was going on, she went in there and she was like, how do I do this? How do I get my loved one back? So she goes in there and she's investigating Wanda, trying to figure out how she did it. So like throughout the episodes, you hear her mention death a lot, right? Devil's in the details, Bev. That's not the only place the devil is. Her roses bloom under penalties of death. Just kind of like reminding Wanda that that Vision was dead. Getting that death aspect into her mind. And I think when at the end of episode 3 and at the end of episode 6, you see Vision as a corpse, and then you see Quicksilver as a corpse. And I think that's Agatha trying to get Wanda to have like an impulse reaction to bring them back from the dead. Just to see how she does it so that Agatha can use the same magic to bring her loved one back. Anyway, so back to the Sparky thing. I think she's the one that materialized Sparky into their household and made them care for it, or care for the dog and all that stuff. And I think she purposely killed Sparky to see if Wanda would bring him back from the dead, to see how she does it and if she can like copy that and do it with her loved one. Tommy goes, you can bring him back, like, you can fix anything, you can even fix the dead. And Agatha goes, you can do that? And when Wanda didn't respond, she was like, okay, I gotta step things up. Peter, come with me. You're coming into this dimension. You're gonna act like Wanda's sister, and you're gonna try to get information for me. So, like, the things that Agatha was doing wasn't working, so now she's gonna try a new method. She's gonna bring someone familiar to Wanda to try to work her and get information from her. So Pietro is gaining her trust, and we see him ask her, like, how are you doing all this? How did you do this? Not what are you doing? How did you do this? He's trying to get a direct answer from her after he's gained her trust. So that he can, now we know that he was working with Agatha so that he can get that information from Wanda, give it to Agatha so that she can bring back her loved one. So yeah, that's basically the gist of what I think could be happening here. And I think that can lead to a lot of, it can lead to Agatha being like a potentially very empathetic villain, or Wanda being empathetic towards her. Marvel, back in Phase 1, Phase 2, we had these villains who were just like, the same power as the hero, just very two-dimensional villains. And as we moved on to Phase 3, you saw that change a little bit. The villains were more complex. They were human, and like they thought they were doing the right thing, but they were going at it the wrong way. So I think as Marvel grows, so do the villains. The villains they're becoming more complex. So I think that could be what's happening here. Agatha lost a loved one. So did Wanda. Wanda was able to bring her back. Agatha was not. So she's trying to learn from Wanda how to do that. And I think that can create a really good connection between Wanda and Agatha. In the comics, Agatha is actually the one who like helps train Wanda before she turns on her and Wanda kills her. But Agatha like helped Wanda train. Like she was basically like a mom to her. And as we've seen throughout the show, she's like a sister to her. She's a neighbor. So I think they can have that deep understanding with one another, and could potentially help each other out. Obviously, Sword is out there still, like they're an antagonist, but they're not a villain. Hayward is doing some shady stuff with Vision. Who knows why he's doing that? But as far as we know, they're an antagonist to Wanda, but they're not a villain. Wanda is an antagonist to all the people that she is trapped in Westview, but she is not a villain. Agatha is an antagonist because of that little jingle that said she was, but I don't think she is a villain. I think she has an actual complex reason why she's doing this. Because, it's like it was Agatha all along, but why? Why was she doing it? We don't know. So I think this is a pretty logical reason as to why. It's definitely took a lot of thinking for me to come up with this. And as we saw her, like I mentioned before, we saw her make Vision look like a corpse again. We saw her make Pietro look like a corpse again to try to get that like reaction out of Wanda to see if she would do her magic to bring them back to life. So I think she's going to do that with the twins. It's very dark and cynical, which is why she's the villain. But again, she has, motives that we can sympathize with. So she's going to kill the twins and get Wanda to bring them back to life. So that she can learn how to bring her loved ones back to life. And so this is just kind of like a ballpark theory. What if Pietro, or Peter, the Quicksilver from her universe, is her son, and she lost Magneto, which is his father, and everyone's been saying like, oh, we're going to see Magneto in this. What if that is the case? Magneto and Agatha are married, and Peter is their son. And it's basically just mother and son trying to get their dad back. This is just a very loose theory. I kind of just came up with it in my head. If this is anything, if this is even close to accurate, I would be surprised with myself. I just kind of threw it together. But if all that is true, then this show can take a very strange turn. Nobody really knows who the villain is. Nobody really knows who's doing the good thing. And I think that's what's so amazing about this show. There's no like cut and dry villain. At the end of episode 3, we figure out that Wanda is the villain. Then we find out that Hayward was trying to use Vision as a weapon. Then we thought he was the villain. And now we get the Agatha thing, and now we think she's the villain. So there really is no clear villain. I think everybody has their own reasons for what they're doing and how they're doing them. But some people's methods are shadier than others, and they're all pretty shady. So you could either look at it this way. We have 3 villains, or we have no villains. But yeah, so that's just like my kind of 2 cents. I didn't want to make this video too long. I just wanted to share with you guys the theory that I came up with. I really hope the show goes along those lines, because that could potentially be super complex and very emotional. I think these last couple episodes are going to be the most emotional episodes. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Like and subscribe is, first of all, it's free for you guys, and it helps me out a lot. Like, it really does. But until then, Kevin Feige, cast me as Ben Reilly. And I'll see you guys later. Thank you, beautiful people.